G'day YouTube, my name's Lance and welcome to Bundy Bears Shed. Well, this is going to be a Kangaroo Stew episode. We haven't had time in the shed of late to do any major projects, get anything big underway. Main reason we've been going away, and we've been away to a few machinery weekends, one over in Kangaroo, which is a few hours west of here. Last weekend we had another vintage machinery club, the Callide Dawson Club, and they come over to spend the weekend with our club in Bundaberg, and we arranged in town to send them to a few collections that people had. Dennis has a Victor lawnmower collection with about I think 18, 19 Victor lawnmowers in there, right back to the first ones, and there was other big sheds of collections. One had tractors, vintage cars and engines, stationary engines, and Graham down the road, he has big engines and tractors, and he started a big engine for them, and my wife and I, Judy, we hosted them for a barbecue for 45 people, and we had a great night, but yeah, having a few sneaky beers and some of them not so sneaky, and yeah, we cooked up a feed, and they had a great weekend, so we've enjoyed ourselves doing those things. And this last weekend just gone, it's Monday morning now, as I'm doing this, and this weekend gone we've gone to Maryborough, or Tanana Soccer Grounds. And Maryboroug's a town about an hour and a quarter or so south of us towards Brisbane, and we went to a machinery weekend there. I didn't take any footage, I was too busy. I don't know what I was doing, but I was busy. Probably just playing with tractors and engines and doodling around, but yeah, I took the camera, but yeah, I don't know whatever happened to it. I think it just stayed in the car, and yeah, I got a case of have a chat. But yeah, it was a great weekend, and but at the moment in the shed here, all around, for the barbecue last weekend or the weekend before, we just to add atmosphere, we took a few tractors up to the front yard and a few stationary engines and things like that we had here, just to add atmosphere, and a lot of these fellas are old farmers and they like to lean on something and have a bit of a chat, so we did that. So while they're out, before I tuck them in their little hidey holes again, I might take you for a walk around them. I've just bought a new press. We were going to do up the big old press, the big frame that I showed you in an earlier Kangaroo Stew. I did a bit of a costing on doing that, and by the time I bought two-stage hand pumps and cylinders and all that sort of thing, the cost was going to blow out, and I was running out of time to do what I wanted to do with this press. So we bought one off Hare and Forbes down in Brisbane, and it's a 50-ton press. That will enable us to do rear axle bearings on Ferguson tractors and water pumps and just a few other things that we've been wanting to do, but the press has been a hold up, so we just bit the bullet and went and bought it. So yeah, come for a bit of a walk around the shed, and I'll show you some of the engines we have out before we put them away. And the little gold tractor, I took a 1957 grey and gold Ferguson FE35 down to Maryborough, and we haven't put it away yet either. So so today we'll unpack a press, we'll put a few things away, do a bit of housekeeping, a bit of shed keeping. So anyway, sit tight, I'll come around the other side of the camera and we'll point you at some better looking things for myself. Well, this little engine here, it's out a little bit at the moment. We usually have it tucked away a bit better, but it's a 6 horsepower International M on a cart. It's on the original horse cart, and we'll bounce around this post here, and it used to have a seat and a handbrake and all that, so yeah, it's usually around the place. It's because we can wheel it around, it actually stays out in the open a bit because we can push it out of the road easily. But yeah, it's a nice little engine. I don't run it often though. I need to do the white metal on the bottom end, on the big end bearings of that. So we don't run it at present because I feel running it to do a bit more damage to it. So anyway, we'll get there. Yeah, nice engine, nice cart. Well, this engine here That's the one I did there's a clip on this one running. That's a 10 horsepower International M. We took that up the front for the visitors to have a little look at. We didn't run them up there. Main reason was that the idea was to have a chat and get to know people from another area. We knew some of the people, but yeah, we got to know them better and some more. And that was a little 3 horsepower International non-Perel we took up the front. And there's also a clip on the channel on Bundy Bears Shed of that running. This is I'll just put the muffler up here. There we go. We put the muffler down on that engine just for travel and that, but that's a 3 horsepower International famous engine. It's one of my favourite engines. It runs beautifully. You take it somewhere, you start it up for the day, no trouble at all. So you just ticks over. And there's a little 2 horsepower United engine, and it runs this little hay baler. Now that little hay baler, I made that from scratch in the shed. It makes those little hay bales. They're very popular when we take it somewhere. And this engine here is a 2 horsepower International famous, and we had that up the front there as well. That was the first famous I actually ever got going. Got the muffler sitting down again, and the engine next to that, that's a Crosley. It's a Crosley KK, and they're a hot tube engine. It's one I've done up. I bought that seized quite a few years ago, and I'll see if I can bring you up to the tag without it flashing out on us. There you go. And yeah, it's a lovely engine. I've got a bloke interested in buying that, and it's one of those things, do you sell it, don't you sell it? You've got all these decisions to make about such matters. But yeah, I've had a heap of fun with it. I might sell it. He collects Crosley engines, so anyway, we'll see. But another thing I have out at the moment is a Crosley K. Now, you don't see these around often, and this one, I've had a new nameplate cast for it. I have a new gas bag. It runs on town gas, taps and tap castings, and that's the crank and the flywheel. And yeah, I've made a new camshaft for it. That's a new cam, new exhaust valve. I've done all the there's some rollers. I'll see if I can zoom in on them. Yeah, some rollers we've made for running in the valves and things, and I've made all the governor nuts and all that, and the collar around the governor. So but there's a chap wants that, so we're actually thinking of doing a deal with him for an International Harvester 8 horsepower engine. So anyway, we'll see. Well, this little tractor here, that's a grey and gold Ferguson 35. It's an FE 35 with a 4-cylinder petrol engine, with a standard engine made by the Standard Motor Company. And we take it to shows quite a bit. It also sits out the front of the workshop. And that's what we took away this last weekend. And it has the Ferguson on the front instead of the triple triangle. And yeah, we put a nice seat cover on it. I think that helped out a little bit. But yeah, that's 1957, and I painted that 8 years ago up in Biloela. They had the National Machinery Show, and it was in 2007. So I painted it up then. So it's about 8 years since I've done it up. But yeah, still looking nice. Still quite presentable. And the beauty about these little tractors is they're light. You can drop them on a trailer and tow them behind a 4-cylinder, well, what we have anyway is a 4-cylinder Japanese ute. Colorado, and we can tow up to 3.5 tonne. These weigh around 1,600 kilos, without any extra weight or water in the tyres. So anyway, that's Little Goldie, we call it. This here is the box with a new press in it. There's a little picture over there, something about what it should look like, so we'll open that shortly. I won't go through all the nitty gritty of opening the box and talking about packaging and all that stuff. Up on the hoist, we've been doing up a John Deere 420 high crop for some time, and the wheels, well, we've got to a stage, the wheels, we've started sanding them back, getting ready for paint. We have the paint here, and the rims are coming up quite okay. This one needs quite a bit of treatment yet. But over here, we bought the tyres the other day. We bought tyres and tubes. I should be able to show you a better picture of the tubes and tyres and things. And there they are, 13.638 for the rear tyres, and the front ones are 750/16. So we bought them out of town here from Peter Walton. He's our preferred tyre supplier, and for two tyres, or two 13.638 tyres and two 750/16 tyres with tubes, $2,044. So yeah, that's why we're a bit keen to get the rims done now, and when we get the rims done, we'll put the tyres on. And this is where the tractor is, way up here. We'll bring that down a little bit. Bit spoiled having a tractor on a hoist to do it up, but yeah, why not? Well, we've just started to unpack the press, and I thought it'd be an easy time now to look at the top. And all this bracing here, there's a 50-tonne ram sitting in the top there, and it sits, well, it's welded into these cross beams here. But I'm quite happy with how sturdy that is. Yeah, we're not going to bend that in a hurry. And also, it's all bolted, it's all welded in. So where these bolts go here on the uprights, that should make that quite a bit stronger for flexing and that. It all being welded and then bolted, so it should be nice and square. There's a dual stage hand pump there. What I do notice is when they've done it up in the factory, they've actually got the good Stilsons out and done it up with Stilsons. Well, if I was making that, I'd make it a little bit bigger and put a small hex on there. But anyway, it's the cheap end of the presses, which is all we chose to buy for Bundy Bears Shed. So anyway, yeah, looking good. Quite pleased. We'll go a bit further, but I just thought I'd show everyone that, because yeah, that's quite substantial. Well, there we go, one assembled press. A few little things on the gauge up the top here. That gives you a comparison of metric tonnes versus American tonnes. So around 50 American tonne, it looks like 45 metric tonnes. So anyway, that's a bit interesting. Some of the fittings are rubbish. The fitting in here is quite crook, and the fitting here, you see that hose doesn't line up quite properly. That's that might be dealt with. It looks like just a BSP fitting down in under there. So we'll have a look at that. Down the bottom where the foot bolt's on, I've spaced this side out because there's welds sticking proud of the side bars, and I felt it was better to space it out rather than rather than try and flex everything. It has a little boat winch on this side here, and that lifts the whole show up and down, but all in all, it's not too bad. It'll do the job. It'll do what we need it to do. Another thing with this little press is a cable goes across the bottom, and the cable from the boat winch lifts and lowers the actual bed. Now they've got a little pulley set up that comes up and across, but anyway, for some reason they have the cable going down the bottom, and anyone that's used the press a little bit will know that even though you try and not have it happen, now and then a shaft or something like that will come down and get away on you, and it'll hit that cable. They have put a couple of steel struts across there to try and stop it. Not particularly beefy, but what we'll do is we'll probably mount a piece of ply or put a wooden pallet or something like that straddling that, so if something gets away on us, it'll hit a nice soft piece of pine and we won't damage the thread on the shaft or something like that.